it's already live. Okay.
Your news, Taiwan and the world.
Good afternoon, it's 4 o'clock. I'm Nancy Sun with the top of the hour news. In Taiwan news, the high-speed rail is adding even more trains to its holiday schedule. The Taiwan High-Speed Rail Corporation has announced an additional 5 trips during the Mid-Autumn Festival period from the 21st to the 25th. Tickets for those new trains will go on sale on Friday at midnight. In total, the HSR has added 121 trips to its schedule for the holiday, with 3 to 5 cars of unassigned seating each. Meanwhile, those in the tourism business say effects of recent natural disasters in Japan will be limited. Major travel agencies say damage and disruptions from Typhoon Jebi and a major earthquake earlier today have hit at the tail end of the summer travel season, when tourist numbers naturally decline. They also report that sign-ups for fall tours to enjoy Japan's maple trees are growing as usual. The agencies predict that those traveling to Japan in the next few months may simply change their itinerary to stay away from worst-hit areas. And Taiwan is trying to attract more visitors from Russia. The government is launching a trial visa waiver program that would allow Russian nationals to visit for up to 14 days. Applicants would need a Russian passport valid for at least 6 months and an outbound ticket to be eligible, and they cannot have a criminal record. Travelers would also need to provide their accommodations information and a Taiwanese contact person. The trial will run until the end of next July, at which time authorities will decide whether or not to extend the program. In international news, the Hokkaido prefectural government says at least 4 people have been confirmed dead on the island struck by the powerful earthquake. The magnitude 6.7 earthquake struck southern parts of Japan's northernmost main island earlier today. Hokkaido officials say 3 other people were found without vital signs when they were dug up from landslides in the worst-hit Atsuma town near the epicenter. Officials say more than 30 people are still unaccounted for and feared buried beneath the landslides in Atsuma. More than 290 other people were injured. The quake also damaged Hokkaido's main thermal power plant, causing power outages at nearly 3 million households across the island, as well as train services and hospitals. Australia's former Foreign Minister, Julie Bishop, has weighed into the debate about bullying in the nation's federal parliament, saying she's witnessed behavior in Canberra that would not be tolerated in any other workplace across Australia. Arthur Stevens reports.
Ms. Bishop was guest speaker at a Women's Weekly magazine event in Sydney and described the embarrassing circus in the nation's capital, saying politicians showed contempt for each other and were applauded. She called it robust by the very nature of it, but that it's not for the faint-hearted.
With allegations of bullying and intimidation and harassment and coercion and the unfair, unequal treatment of women.
MP Julia Banks and Senator Lucy Gachui both say they were subjected to bullying and intimidation from male colleagues during last month's Liberal leadership crisis. For ICRT News in Melbourne, I'm Arthur Stevens.
And Slovenian police say they have arrested 2 people for paramilitary activity after video footage and photos surfaced on social media of a group of armed masked men led by a right-wing former presidential candidate. Police say they are searching 5 houses in the northeastern area around the town of Maribor, where the group was filmed. The video showing several dozen masked men training in a field in military-like outfits and holding axes and rifles has sparked condemnation in the small European Union nation. The suspects face charges of inciting violent change of constitutional order. And now back here in Taiwan and looking at the weather across the island this afternoon, we can expect partly cloudy skies and occasional afternoon thundershowers in all regions. Current temperatures now, Taipei, Taichung, and Hualien all 31 degrees, and Kaohsiung is 29 degrees. That was the ICRT News at 4 with me, Nancy Sun. Yay! I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right this time. Hi everybody, and welcome to the ICRT Web News Hour. that is Leslie's finger. Leslie's finger is attempting conversation. So this is the segment that we do every Tuesday and Thursday. Wait, I don't need this anymore. We do every Tuesday and Thursday, and then basically we just get you all in here into the newsroom, and we talk about some of the major news stories. Hi, Leslie.
Hello, let's talk.
Hi. All right. Okay, so let's start first with Taiwan news.
Sure.
And the news is that we are offering a trial visa waiver program for Russians, which kind of took me by surprise. But anyway, so basically what that means is if you are, or whoever are a Russian citizen and you have a valid passport and you don't have a criminal record, and you can find somebody to be your contact in Taiwan, you could potentially come to Taiwan without a visa. But that's only up to 14 days. And this is just a trial, and then the government is going to see how it works out, and if it works well, this program could continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting because I don't know Taiwan offers visa-free travel to how many countries?
63 countries in total, or the countries or jurisdictions, including, our diplomatic allies, obviously, but also countries like US, Canada, South Korea, New Zealand, the EU, obviously. And the days that they can come in without visa vary. It can be, the highest goes up to 90 days. But I find this a little interesting. Canada and the UK are the only two countries that can apply for an extension and stay up to 180 days.
Oh, let's see really quick.
Leo Anting
says, Leo Anting says, good afternoon, Nancy.
Hi,
I will have
hi.
a presentation in 5 minutes, so I'm nervous and anxious.
Oh, that is so nerve-wracking. I totally understand, but I think you're going to be awesome.
You'll do
You're
fine.
going to rock it. You're going to rock it.
Nancy,
Wait, what are you doing watching this?
Go get ready, right? Go get ready.
To calm your nerves. You're
Okay.
going to be fine. You're well prepared.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Taiwan is trying to attract more visitors from Russia.
Yeah.
And the visa it's a landing visa, so it's a 落地签证 for 14 days, which seems rather short for me, from my understanding. Most landing visas, or a lot of landing visas that I know of, Taiwan gets are like 90 days.
Yeah, 14 days is the shortest version of this program. Longer versions go up to 90 days. There's also 30-day programs. It depends, but I think, for a first-time offer, it's not too bad. And I suppose if it works out in the end, there may be changes added.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that it's Russia. Don't you think that's kind of like...
That is, well, I mean...
Out of the blue.
It's out of the blue, but I thought Russia would have been on the list a long time ago, right?
Really?
Because it's one of the it's a huge country, and why wouldn't we want to offer offer visa-free travel to Russia?
That is true.
It's almost as intuitive as almost like the United States and stuff like that.
That is true, but if you consider like the what's going on in the world now and the global powers that are taking this side or that side, it kind of seems like I would say one of our government has said one of our most important international allies is the U.S., although they're not officially a diplomatic ally, but we're still important partners. And so I would say that there's often a power play between the U.S. and Russia is also closely allied with China in certain cases, and so those kind of seem like opposing powers in the world stage. And so not cozying up to Russia, but extending friendly programs towards Russia seems... That being
said, it's still a very conservative landing visa, right? Only 14 days, you can't have a criminal record.
Yeah. And you have to have a Taiwan contact, which seems difficult.
Yeah, especially for someone from Russia.
Yeah, and we're not really clear on what the requirements are. Like, is this just somebody you can pay to be your contact, or can it just be somebody you find on
I have an uncle who actually he did...
a notary?
No, he did business in Russia.
Oh, okay.
So it is, and when I was at my cousin's wedding, he did have a few of his Russian contacts here.
There you go.
So it is possible, and I maybe there are mostly business connections, but from what I see here, Taiwan's really just dipping its toe in the water and really testing it out. Only 14 days, and you have to have all these stipulations and all. You have to fulfill all these requirements. And it's much, much, much more. There's many more bars to entry than there are with other landing visas that we offer or other countries offer us.
True. And I would say this also comes at an interesting time because just today there was news about a piece of U.S. legislation being introduced. And basically lawmakers are proposing that the U.S. kind of step up support for Taiwan to help it keep diplomatic allies. So basically, these laws say that the U.S. would take steps like altering their support for that country, or changing aid programs.
Is that the Taipei Act of 2018?
Ooh, I don't know the official.
I think
name
that's what
for
it's called.
Okay. Okay.
Wait. So how did that go? Like, did it pass the House?
It's still being reviewed right now.
Okay.
But President Tsai has already officially thanked the U.S. for this proposal, and so who knows? It's coming at an interesting time. It's like the U.S. and that coming on top of the Taiwan Travel Act. It's like there's a lot of incoming U.S. support for Taiwan, and who knows what's going on.
Jonathan Riego Dinglasan says, "Yay! Finally, I'm back after a long day. Hello, ICRT.
Hi,
Hello,
hi.
Jonathan. Welcome.
Welcome back.
So, and then you got to realize that this is also on a trial visa basis, and I think I don't think this is much about much about politics.
Right.
But the thing is, I think it's really one of Taiwan's one of our claims to fame is that we have a very powerful passport, right?
True.
That can allow you a visa entry into. Like landing visa entry into many, many different countries.
Right.
And I think in order for us to do that, to get these privileges, we have to give them first in many instances.
Yeah, right. Reciprocal treatment. Okay, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah,
we'll see if
Russia,
it continues.
very interesting.
But the big story today, I think even affecting Taiwan directly also, is what's happening in Japan. The last time we did this segment, we were talking about the Typhoon Jebi going over Japan and then causing a lot of landslides and damage, structural damage, flooding, including the Kansai airport, which serves Osaka and a lot of Kobe, Nara, a lot of those cities. And so early this morning, 3 a.m. in Japan, there was a major earthquake there, and it measured a 6.7 on the Richter scale, which is relatively large, and this epicenter was 40 kilometers deep, which is relatively deep as well.
Yeah.
But it did cause a lot of extensive damage. This happened in Hokkaido, so it's the northernmost big island in Japan.
Beihai-dao, I think.
Beihai-dao, that's right. And then so the big story is that now they're dealing with this earthquake, and the thermal reactors have been knocked out, which means there's a lot of people there without power.
3 million people
3 million
without power, right?
Right, yeah, 3 million people without power, and there are Taiwan tour groups and tourists there as well, so that's affecting Taiwan.
So Samu brings up a good point, right? He says typhoon and earthquake.
I know.
And Japan got hit, the southern
with
part
all
of Japan
the typhoons
got hit with Typhoon Jebi.
Yes.
Right? And that's really, really powerful. But the thing is, even before that, I think Japan this year had 2 instances of double typhoons on Japan at the same time.
Yeah, it's
like 2 instances of that.
It's been a really rough typhoon
And now
season.
you're just like, oh my God, that's the south of Japan. And then all of a sudden the north has a big 6.7 earthquake.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if Godzilla comes out of the ocean like next week in Japan,
I'll be like, well, we saw that coming.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, well, like cut Japan a break, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who I got to talk to, but Japan really needs to be cut a break from all this going on. Especially like even 2 months ago, we were talking about Osaka and Kyoto getting battered by floods.
Yeah, the big story there is that the Kansai airport is flooded. We don't know when it's going to restart. It stopped service, obviously. There's people trapped there too. Let me just give you some numbers. So at the airport in Hokkaido, there's still there's still 25 tour groups. So over 764 tourists from Taiwan are still stuck in Hokkaido, like they can't get out. There were a lot of news stories this morning of people in Taiwan going to the Taoyuan International Airport, and they got there, and then it looks like they can't go because all the flights to Hokkaido are canceled, which means they got to the airport and they were told everything's canceled and they have to go home. But a lot of them have said, I guess this is a better case than trying to get back to Taiwan and being stuck in Hokkaido.
Chen Peirong says, 看到空中的主持人好酷. She's talking about you.
I just talking about me. Leslie's on a lot too. He's all right.
For a long time. Yeah. So this is something that's really my heart really goes out to Japan.
Yeah.
They have been taking a battering this season, and if you see the footage, I saw some of the footage, especially from the Sapporo airport, the planes are shaking. Everything is shaking, and the camera's shaking really, really wildly too. Yeah. Some guy filmed himself in his apartment, and it was like you could just hear the metal just rattling.
That is, yeah, it's quite scary. And it also calls to mind the earthquake and tsunami that happened in Japan 2011?
Yeah.
2013, 2011, and it caused nuclear reactors to melt down, and there was a huge tsunami. No tsunami warning for this in this case. And
actually, that was the Fukuoka plant, right?
The Fukushima plant?
The Fukushima plant.
Yeah.
That was the one with that. It was a nuclear plant.
It was a nuclear plant, and the reactors were all damaged. So the power was out completely, which caused reactors to shut down. And then the nuclear fueling rods, which continually, continually heat up until it gets dangerous. They couldn't cool the fuel rods anymore because of the lack of power, and so you had a meltdown. And they're still in the process of cleaning that up. It's going to take, I don't know, a decade, more than a decade. And then there's also risk of that, the radioactive material leaking into the groundwater, leaking out to sea. The list of fallout is long. And
the silver lining here is that this power plant that got hit by this time's earthquake was a thermal power plant.
It was a thermal power plant, and I think there's a nuclear. I remember reading earlier. Yeah, nuclear power plants. There's actually 3 reactors that were hit by a nuclear power plant on Hokkaido, on the island of Hokkaido. But they said that the external power has been restored, so there is no immediate threat of like a major meltdown. So it's not as bad as
6.7 is relatively large. Is there a comparison that we have?
What's another recent earthquake that we had that was close?
Oh no.
The problem is that it also depends on whether the epicenter is in the ocean or on land and how deep the epicenter is. I think 40 kilometers is relatively deep. But it also depends on the type of shaking. Like there's different types of shaking, and certain types cause more damage, so it depends.
So I think the last major earthquake Taiwan had was Hualien, right? Or is it Tainan?
No. Hualien happened after Tainan, I think.
Okay.
And just, I don't know if this is interesting news, but just to give you an idea of the damage, after Typhoon Jebi, as we said, there's extensive flooding, and there was a story today about a Ferrari car dealership in Kobe, Shenghu, that was flooded, and they had 53 Ferraris in their showroom, and they put like Leslie's amazing. They put out like sandbags and the things to stop the water, and then they had no idea it was going to be that bad, and then the showroom ended up flooding a meter high. 51 Ferraris kaput ski. And
that's so much money.
280 million NT worth of damage, which is not as much as I thought.
280 million
NT.
That's still 20 million US dollars.
10亿日币.
That's 1 billion NT. I mean, that's 1 billion Japanese dollars.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, okay, that's an idea of the damage.
Julianne says, "Holy smokes, more than a decade." Wow. Well, anything to do with nuclear radiation, nuclear material.
Right.
I think 10 decades are actually, in terms of nuclear half-life, is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Considering one of the worst.
Chernobyl.
Yeah, Chernobyl, the worst nuclear accidents in history.
They're still dealing with the fallout.
It's not going to be safe for like another 250 years, I think.
Yeah, they're hoping like the decade is just to hopefully get it safely contained so that it doesn't spread out. But to make it not nuclear, who knows how long it's going to take.
It all depends on the half-life of these nuclear materials. And
there you go.
There's some of them can sustain for a long time.
I thought we were going to end on a happier note. We hope if you are in Japan, or if you know someone in Japan, if you're trying to get back, we hope everybody is okay.
Yeah, hope check in on your actually, my dad's in Japan right now.
What?
Yeah, he's in Tokyo though.
Oh,
he's near Tokyo.
Okay, but Tokyo, it wasn't directly in the path of Typhoon Jebi, but I'm sure the weather's been affected.
Fire says, "Hi everyone, sorry I am late."
That's okay.
Minion, hello.
You joined us for the most fun part.
The best part.
That's right. But quick weather update before we go. Cooler temperatures coming this weekend. There's a northeasterly front coming through, and so we're going to get more rain. It's going to get down to 28 to 30 degrees.
Okay, that's
high temperatures
that's pretty
in the
nice.
north.
We've been spoiled pretty.
We
as far as with all the rain lately, it's actually cooling down again. And the news it was showing that 36 degrees.
Mm-hmm. In Taipei today.
Yeah.
Yesterday and the day before.
Yeah, yesterday it was just like 36 degrees, 高温.
Yeah.
And my thought
Today's
was,
lower.
I'm like, that's all right, right? Because
Well, that's all right.
we almost hit
What are you
40 earlier this year. We almost hit 40 earlier this year, and I think people forget about that.
Yeah.
So I think 36 is, it's kind of nice to us.
30 is nicer.
Yeah, 30 is nice. Of course, I'm saying that, but you don't forget that this summer has been a lot more brutal than that.
That's true, but we are heading into fall, although there is Qiu-Lao-Hu, so who knows?
Okay.
Anyway.
All right, Nancy.
Okay, so this is the part of the segment where Leslie and I ask each other 3 completely random questions, and then we answer the questions.
And new rules.
New rules.
That you have to answer your own question.
Okay,
too.
I can do that.
Okay.
I'm an open book.
30 seconds.
Okay.
Nancy, why don't you go ahead? Ladies first.
Number 1, what smell brings back great memories?
What smell brings back great memories?
That's like a tongue twister.
Probably like a what's that called? It's
mothballs.
Yeah, mothballs.
How did I know that?
It's because every Taiwanese household has them, right?
Yes.
And
yes,
it just the smell of mothballs reminds me of my grandma's house.
Aww.
And over in Sanzhong, and it's just like even back in the States when I smell mothballs, I was like, what?
Grandma?
Yeah, it's like Amma is here.
Amma's here. Aww.
What about you?
It would be the smell of grass. That was when I lived in Calgary, and it was a much more natural place than Taipei is. And then, like, after school, we just like toss our backpacks, and then we go out riding bikes and climbing through the woods, and that's a happy memory.
But I've been in Taiwan too long. I forgot what grass
I know
smells
you like, especially living in Taipei, you forget what grass smells like. And then sometimes when it rains and you pass like a little patch of grass, you're like, what is? Oh, it's grass. That's what it smells like.
Pan Chi Pin says, I haven't been to Japan my whole life.
Oh, it's really nice.
I've been there once.
Although maybe not right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Oh, keep going? Okay. Yeah. Would the world be a better or worse place if everyone looked the same?
Better. I would say better. Because...
Me too.
Yeah, because, like, a lot of disagreements that happen in the world unfortunately happen because of superficial reasons, right?
Yeah.
But if everyone's the same, actually, you know what, it's the personality that counts, and isn't that what we're taught from a young age?
Yeah, it kind of feels like if we all looked exactly the same, we would focus on other things.
Yeah,
like
and there's no pressure, right? There's no pressure.
But it would be scary too, because we all keep talking about like, oh, our differences are what make us great, or our differences are what lead to creativity and individuality.
Before I came on the air, you saw my hair was a mess, and because I knew I was on the camera, I had to do my hair.
What? Okay. Oh, you're talking about focusing on physical appearance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I make fun of Leslie's hair all the time.
Oh, please. As a handsome guy, I will say better.
So if everybody looked like
him. I'll take his word for it.
All right.
Okay. Next question.
Would you eat at a restaurant that was really dirty if the food was amazing?
Yes, I do it all the time.
Heck no. Leslie, you're disgusting.
I do it all the time.
Ugh, well, that's true.
Yeah. Like,
sorry.
Think about it this way. I have a triangle.
Yeah.
That explains food in Taiwan, right?
Okay.
And you can only pick 2 things out of the triangle, okay?
Okay.
So are you paying attention?
Okay.
If you want cheap, so the 3 points of the triangle is cheap, clean, and delicious. Okay. Right? So
cheap, clean, delicious.
You can choose 2, but you can't have the third one.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want cheap and clean,
clean, delicious.
You can't. Then you can't have like overly delicious food. If it's delicious and if it's delicious and cheap, what's missing?
I feel like I need a diagram. I need a visual aid.
I'll show you. I'll show you the visual after. I'll show you a visual after.
Okay. I would definitely say clean is in there for sure.
Okay.
And it can be delicious.
Yeah. Then
clean and delicious.
Then you're gonna be paying. Then you're thinking about. Then you're paying a premium.
Well, yeah, I can do that now because I'm a little bit older. But
that's fine. I'll show you the diagram. I have a diagram and everything.
Okay.
Right? Okay. My questions.
Okay.
Number 1.
Go.
Would you rather be in extreme heat or extreme cold?
Oh, I hate this question. Extreme heat.
Extreme heat. Why so?
Because you can't get away from the cold. You can't get away from the heat either. But I feel like the cold would reduce you to just. Nothing. You'd be frozen. At least if you're hot, you can, I don't know, cool down in water or something.
Well, here's the thing. I always say I would like to be in extreme cold. Because my brother David, he said some really smart ones. He's like, you can only take off so many layers before you can't take off anymore. But you can if you're in the cold, you can always keep piling on more clothes.
Yeah, that is true. But I feel like even if you're in really cold temperatures, even if you have so many layers, your body can't generate enough heat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bayer says, however, I tried eating food and will watch a dog eat poo. So like I'm guessing he says like
What? Oh,
like
eating
he eats
food
food.
while you see a dog.
eat its own poo. I mean, it happens. It happens.
It
Have you
happens.
ever seen a dog? Dogs will eat anything.
I've seen a guinea pig eat its own food.
There you go.
Okay, anyway.
Okay, Nancy. Next
Yes,
question.
yes. Okay.
What is your dream job?
My dream job.
Yeah.
Oh, it used to be to work in the zoo. I think that'd be awesome. And I feel like I had this conversation before. I actually volunteered at the zoo for a long time, doing tours, and then sometimes, occasionally, working with the animals. It was really awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yours.
I've thought about this a lot recently because my friend
ICRT.
asked me, and I probably want to be a stand-up comedian.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that would totally fit.
ICRT.
Yeah, I know. I was like, Leslie, you're not gonna say ICRT.
Well, you know, the skills are transferable, right? You just
Absolutely.
tell jokes. You don't tell jokes in front of an audience. You tell it on air.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There you go.
And in recent memory, last question. In recent memory, what is the worst nightmare you've had?
Oh no. Oh, it's okay. It's a really scary nightmare, and it involves a lot of gore.
Oh.
It's just like nonstop gore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't just. It's not appropriate to describe on public Facebook living.
No.
I can't. It's too scary.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, what is a PG?
A PG
nightmare
version.
you can share with us.
Rivers of blood, rivers of corpses,
What
body parts.
Are you okay?
Bugs. I know. It's the scariest one, right? And then, yeah. And then something more scary than that. It's too much. But the scariest dream I've heard of somebody else having, which scared the bejeebers out of me, is he said that he dreamt that he went home and it was all dark, and then he saw his family's laundry hanging up on the balcony, and except as he kept looking at it, it started filling up, and it became his family members.
Whoa.
See, that just scares the bejeebers out of me.
That's a horror movie.
I know,
that's a horror
right?
movie.
Yeah, it's traumatizing.
Oh,
I'm so
my
glad
goodness.
it's not my own, though. Ugh. What about you, Leslie?
Okay, so people might not find this scary, but it felt really freaky. Like I woke up and I was sweating, and then my heart rate was going. So I was in an all-white room, all right, and it was all white, and there was nothing in there, and there's one door. I walk, and then I go to the door. I walk through it. I'm in the same room.
Oh my god!
And then I look behind me. The door's gone.
Oh my god, that's
Like,
really scary.
Okay.
I'm sweating. Okay.
And then I walk through the door again. Same thing.
Oh, that's really scary.
And then the one time I saw a door not in front of me, it was to my right.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, a little bit of change. So I'm not. This isn't like some kind of nightmare thing.
Yeah.
I walk through that door. Same thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That says a lot about you.
What about it?
I don't know. You're afraid of no change, or
I
afraid
guess
of being
so.
trapped.
I think so. Isn't that freaky?
That is freaky.
It's like it's one of those things you say it afterward. It's not that. It might be the Matrix, right? It might be the Matrix. That's what Bayer's saying. But it's one of those things that when you're stuck in there,
that's scary.
It's freaky. But like if I describe it, like, oh, that's not so bad.
No. That's scary as heck. Okay.
All right.
On
Well,
that disturbing note,
that's about it.
Now that you know that we're both mentally unstable individuals, I hope you come back next Tuesday.
Please do.
Again.
Please do.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for joining us, and this is today's Thursday, and we'll be back next Tuesday.
That's right.
Nancy will be here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to be on Tuesday.
What are you saying, Leslie?
Sorry.
What?
Sorry, I'm trying to.
You're going to be stuck in a white room?
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Can I call the Ghostbusters?
Yes.
Neo, is that you? I hope I'm the Neo.
Yes.
I'm hoping I'm Neo. I'm the one.
My face expression's funny, and thank you. I'm horrified.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
We're a little bit over time, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys and join us and
Yeah.
talk about the news.
All right, so see you Thursday.
See ya.
Tuesday. Bye.